Hey guys, how's it going? It's Taurus again. I just want to say thanks for watching my last video. A lot of you gave me good feedback on it, said it was very helpful. So I'm going to try to get a little more detailed today and talk about squatting and deadlifting. So one of the things I want to talk about on the squat is the sticking point. What is it and how do you overcome it? So a lot of people think that a sticking point is a part of the squat where you're the weakest, which is not really necessarily true. It's a little more complicated than that. Sticking point, all it is basically the part of a squat where your body is in the least efficient range of motion. And everybody's going to have the same sticking point, so it's not like people are going to have different sticking points based on their strength levels. You know, for the most part, by 99% of the people, their sticking points are going to be right above parallel. And the reason for that is your hips are the farthest away from the bar path, so creating the longest moment arm, which makes it a very a difficult position to get out of if you don't know how to do it. So how do you go through a sticking point? There's two parts to it. The first one is you need to, it's technique based, and basically you need to shift your body into a more efficient position basically. And the way you do that is as soon as your hips shoot back, you want to try to push your hips forward under the bar, spread your knees out, and finish the movement with your quads. So everybody's femurs have different lengths, different proportions based on their anatomy. So it's going to look a little bit different per person, but the basic idea is pretty much the same. You know, you're going to come out of the hole, you're going to bounce up, you're going to hit that sticking point right above parallel, and then you want to try to shoot your hips forward under the bar and finish the move with your quads. So I'm going to show you guys a few of my videos from last week where you can see pretty clearly on what I mean by pushing hips through and knees. The second part to overcoming sticking points kind of goes hand in hand with the first part, and that's back strength, and more importantly your thoracic portion of your back. And you need to have that area of your back pretty strong to be able to maneuver your hips under the bar. If your back is too weak, you're just going to fold over and you're not going to be able to push your hips through. So you're basically as strong as your weakest link, and for most people their backs are going to give out before their legs are, and that's why some people's hips shoot up first and then they just fold over, is because they don't have the back strength to overcome that, and they don't have the knowledge maybe even necessarily on how to reposition their body and push their hips forward. So the way, one of my favorite ways to strengthen the upper back is just doing a lot of high bar squats and a lot of front squats. The reason why you don't see too many Olympic lifters fail their squats at the sticking point is because they do so many front squats to where their thoracic back is pretty strong, a lot stronger than most powerlifters for that matter. So in my routines, I include a lot of front squats and a lot of high bar squats to strengthen my upper back, so that I have the strength to be able to get out of that sticking point basically and finish the squat with my quads. So I'm going to play some videos and kind of try to walk you through it on how to do this maneuver. I did a lot of pause squats so you can see a little more clearly on what I mean by shooting your hips forward, spreading your knees, and finishing the squat with your quads. Hope you enjoy. So here's me doing some reps with 365 for 5 reps, I believe. I played the first couple in slow motion, so you can see my hips shooting back, kind of hitting that sticking point, and then shooting my hips forward to finish the movement. That white line represents the bar path, and as you can see, it's pretty straight up and down the whole time. There's no much drift forward or backwards. So you can kind of use that as a reference point to my hips, and when I hit that sticking point, you can see that my hips are the farthest from the white line throughout the entire squat, and it's going to create the longest moment arms, which is going to be the distance from the bar path to my hips. So here's some regular speed. My hips shoot back, I get under the bar, and finish with my quads. So here's me doing my first set of pause squats with 405. And this is a great exercise just to learn how to stay tight at the bottom of the squat, and then reposition your body as you're coming up and have a strong finish. So as you can see, as I'm coming out of the hole, my hips shoot back, and I finish with my quads. Another thing I guys want you to notice here is how I unrack the bar. I lift it up with my quads. So basically I get underneath the bar and I just squat it up. I don't lift it up with my back. And the reason I do this is just to preserve energy and not tire myself out trying to get the bar off the rack and then walk back. So here you can also see how I try to drive through that sticking point by shooting my hips under the bar. So I pause, hips shoot back, under the bar, and I finish with my quads. So here I did a bunch of reps with 405, just working on technique and speed. One of the things I guys want you to see from this angle is how my knees are facing out and pointing towards my toes. At no point do they cave in. And you gotta have pretty good hip mobility to do sumo deadlifts properly. And I do a full reset every rep on these just to practice that setup and not jerking the bar up, but positioning my body upright, taking the slack out, and then driving through the ground with my legs. So it looks like I'm jerking the bar, but I'm actually not. It's just a really quick motion. Basically grab it, drop my hips down, and at the same time, I drive through my legs. So here's a couple reps in slow motion. Also, I guys want you to notice my lockout is I lock my knees out first and then fall back with my shoulders and hips through. I don't try to drive my hips forward first and then lock my knees out. That's going to cause you to stop right at your quads, and you're going to drop the bar, and you're going to cause some serious damage in your hip joints as well by doing that, as it's not a very efficient position for your body. So always try to lock your knees out either first or at the same time as your hips. Never try to lock your knees out after locking your hips out. Here's me doing some good mornings with a safety bar, and these are one of my favorite exercises to really target the posterior chain and strengthening that your entire back, basically, especially your thoracic spine, how we talked about it earlier, and this will be very beneficial in your squat. It also forces you to do more of a hip hinge, which is where you just rock back from your hips versus bending down at your knees. And this will be beneficial when you squat, because when you're initiating the squat, it should be hinging back from the hips first and then bending your knees, which is something that most people don't necessarily know how to do properly. So this is a great exercise to kind of reinforce that motion. Also, you don't have to go very heavy in them. I go pretty light, 185, and that's enough if you're doing them properly. I also spend quite a bit of time doing prehab exercises, given my corrective exercise backgrounds, and I really try to balance out my body, as most people have pretty unbalanced, left side to the right side. So I do quite a bit of unilateral work. Here I'm doing single leg deadlifts, try to strengthen the entire hip complex and all the small stabilizer muscles. And most people that do these for the first time are going to find out that one side is very unbalanced compared to the other side. And the more you do them, the more balanced you're going to become in your squat, your deadlift, everything's going to look and feel much better. So really take the time to strengthen your entire body and not just focus on the main lifts. Hope you guys enjoyed my video. Try to make it a little more detailed this week. I'm just going to keep adding content. Next week I'll talk about something different. I think I'll make a little more detailed video on how to do proper sumo deadlifts. If there's anything specific you want me to talk about, just drop me a comment or shoot me an email and I'll try to cover it in my next video. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share if you found it helpful. Thank you.